Hey, everybody. What is the square root of the depths of terror to which the human mind can go? Exactly, it's the infinite regression. Anyway, I need to move this over here so that I can see my levels and whatnot. Check. Kitties, stay the frick away right now. We're recording. Recording, kitties. Do you hear me? Kitties don't freaking hear. I mean, they hear, but they don't, sprechen the English very well. This is what I'm talking about. Anyway, friggin' kitties. Anyway, let's get down to the nitty gritty, my friend. I came here for two reasons: to kick butts and to have weekend type fun, lucky number 13. And it looks like I'm all out of butts to kick, unless I can figure a way to kick my own. Kitty, bitch. Kick that kitty's butt. Anyway, hey, you know what? Let's not let the fact that it's number 13, if you're superstitious. It's 2021. What the crap are you doing being superstitious? We have science. Did you not see science develop a vaccine like schniggity schnack? Like, we have it now. You got like a cell phone on you. You might be watching this on a cell phone. Anyway, like, hey, superstition? What? What are you doing hanging around? It's 2021. Let's all agree superstition is stupid, okay? All right. Weekend type fun. Lucky number 13. Always insult the audience before you start. Always. Do you believe in things that I don't? You're an idiot. Like, yeah, take that, audience. Guess what? So's your face. Ha ha! That was right in your face. You didn't even see that coming. Your big stupid face that I've already referenced in my other hilarity that I've created. Anyway, okay, we get time for lucky number 13. Let's say it in the voice. We always got to do the voice. We've never not done it. I mean, you'd expect me to do some voice that's like, weekend type fun, lucky number 13, woo, something like that. Like, nah, I don't play that. It's not Halloween right now. I don't have a Thrills and Chills soundtrack going on with creaky doors and random woman screams. Also, who is accosting these women? What are they doing with them? Like, you know what? Creepy Halloween sounds. Let's cool it with the women's screams. I don't want to hear women scream. It is 2021, as we have established. I want to hear men scream, and they'll have some freaking questions and be like, who is doing what to these men that they are screaming? But you know what? It'll go around. It'll come around. Oh, that's probably what's happening to the men, is what went around, came around, and then I got it. You know what? Logic works. Isn't that what Aristotle said? He's like, one time this old dude who was into young dudes told me, logic is number one, man. The first and the foremost. Anyway, let's do the voice. We're getting off topic and we don't have time. Okay. Weekend type fun, lucky number 13. I swear that voice is getting worse every week. Like, worse. Pretty soon it's just going to be like, hey, the weekend type fun, lucky number 13. Like, and that'll be me trying my level best at doing the voice. I'll be so far off it. Anyway. Oh, moo hoo 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 ha 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 ah. Yeah, it's a scary episode. Boo! Aha, you didn't see that coming. Sponsored by Teenage Satan. I don't know why that picture. I don't know why that picture at all. You know, this whole thing would be a lot more fun if it were Halloween right now. I agree. And this business right here, the skeleton dance, which is like a Merry Melodies Disney cartoon. I once read the backstory on this. I don't think it was originally like I think Disney bought the rights to it. Like the animators just made it, and then Disney was like, "Oh, that's pretty funny," because Disney then made one that had Mickey Mouse, and it was the same basic idea, and it actually used footage from the skeleton dance that you see here. But as always, Mickey Mouse makes everything worse because he's terrible. And the Mickey Mouse version of the skeleton dance is way worse. It's not nearly as fun, not as good. It sucks. Anyway, Mickey Mouse sucks. The only thing worse than Mickey Mouse is Minnie Mouse. I'm sorry, because no one as terrible as Mickey should have love in this world. I'm sorry. I'm real snippy right now. God. This guy taking pot shots. What am I, Anthony Jeselnik? What? Who's... Yeah, you know who Anthony Jeselnik is. I was going to say, who's Anthony Jeselnik? But then I'm like, I'm not big enough to say who's Anthony Jeselnik. I will get like 4 views on this video, and 3 of them will be me, and 1 of them will be a bot that's like, vem.po, get the super awesome, like for some super short, like, is that even a website? Like, website, and then, something about how the website's awesome. Yeah. Anyway. That's the only people who are going to see this. So I'm in no position to go taking down Jesselniks. Anyway. But yeah, Halloween, love it. Oh, this is fun, though. It does. Oh, it rather reminds me of those old Hellcat Records compilations. Give 'em the boot. You remember those? I do. Those are awesome. I have them still. I still have them. I've listened to them within the year. Anyway, Hellcat had a lot of really great punk bands on lib. I'm reading this like amazed as if I didn't write these slides. Like, what? You have that record too? Yes, I do. Because I wrote this. Just kidding, Braxton. Sometimes I like to make the people think that I wrote it. Braxton, you work very hard to put words in my mouth, and I work very hard to make it seem like I came up with them. That's like how performers go. Sometimes we blur that line, dude. You just stay on your toes. Don't get offended. And it's comedy. This is comedy. Is it though? Nope, it's not. I've looked at it. Braxton, I feel like a certain portion of that's on you, that it's not comedy. You want to be a big man and be like, oh, I wrote this slide. That you are going to take credit if it's not funny. Anyway. Oh, but this is true, though. This may not be funny, but this is actually semi-interesting. So, yeah, Hellcat had all these, like, punk bands. I wouldn't say hardcore, because hardcore, like, has a certain type of sound. I tend to think of DC bands when I think of hardcore. But this is more of a, like, taking the raw aggression of the early punk sound with some slightly better musicianship. That's what I'm thinking about. So anyway, regardless, yeah, Hellcat Records, give them the boot, really good compilations. But yeah, if any of those bands from Hellcat Records ever came to town, them or bands like them, obviously bands like The Exploited, bands like, what's the other one I'm thinking of? Anyway, not coming to mind. Anyway, bands like The Exploited, they're not Hellcat bands, but like all the gutter punk kids would show up, and that's how you knew it was like a real punk show. And yeah. And it's these kids, like you'd see them on the street and they'd be begging for change and stuff, and then you'd see them at the show. And I never knew if they like I never knew that's the word. I never knew that they whether they snuck inside or whether they were just very frugal with their, like you give them a quarter and they're like, "Thanks, governor. I'm going to save this because I want to go see hot water music." Like, I don't know if they want to see hot water music. I don't think there were any gutter punks at that show. But then again, that's across the river at the Marquee. So, like, what are you going to do? So let's just give some, like, stuff that, like, if you were into the punk scene, in the Phoenix metropolitan area circa like 2004 to 2007, you'd be like, "Oh my god, yeah." Like, anyway, regardless, but yeah, these gutter punks would show up, and I do love the idea of a frugal gutter punk, and that would actually be a solid band name. And now they just got off the road opening for Penurious Delinquent. Please, yeah, I put that word, but I also did not read it correctly. I know it. I know Penurious. Penurious? One of those two is correct, but my brain can't remember which one. Obviously, Penurious Delinquent. Please welcome to the stage Boston's own Frugal Gutter Punk. Anyway, if the gutter punks were there, you knew it was a real show and not some like tailcoat rider, friggin' who knows what band this is. They all sound like friggin' Newfound Glory because they're a band on Drive Through Records, and all of those bands sound like Newfound Glory. Anyway, yeah, those bands. Anyway. So to make a long story somewhat longer for no freak reason, I had a punk phase in college and perhaps even a few years after college. And here's a true fact. This is factually correct. Somewhere out there is a picture of me with a spiked out mohawk sitting on a burning couch. We took a couch out. It wouldn't start on fire. Like, we took a couch out into a wash. You drag stuff out into an empty freaking, like, wash. Do you know what a wash is, people who are not from the freaking desert and stuff? It's, basically where flash floods go. When things run over, which they only ever rarely do during, like, the monsoon season, then this is where you have very, very temporary rivers, and then the rest of the time it's just sand, and so you can't light, like, you can light stuff on fire because you're not going to burn anything down because it's a wash. Anyway, so we took a couch out into the wash, and we lit it on fire. And it wouldn't burn all at once. Like, it only started one third, because it had 3 sections on it. So I sat over. The fire was over on one section. Then there was the middle section, which was entirely too near the fire. And then there was a third section, and I sat on that one. And I had a mohawk at the time, all spiked out. And somebody got a picture of it. And I kept asking around. I never found out who had that picture. It might not have turned out. Like, that used to be a thing where, like, you couldn't see what the picture was going to be before you got the picture. Like, you would have to finish the roll of film. These are all very old words. Finish the roll of film, take it to the developer, wait an hour if they were fast. Like, 1 hour developing, you're like, oh, I'll just walk around Walmart for an hour. As if that were a thing to do. It's like the mall. It's Walmart. I call it the Wall Mall. Anyway, oh my God. Uh, America, like what did we do? Anyway, so yeah, you walk around the Walmart for an hour and then your pictures would get back and half of them would be like overdeveloped or underdeveloped or the film only half advanced, and so you get half of one picture and half of another. Like you just get all this crap. And like, so it's funny because back in the day, if someone, like, say for instance somebody got a picture with a famous person, if it was not a Polaroid, then you were not going to get to know what that picture looked like for a while, because and so you wouldn't know. It happened all the time that people would be like, oh my God, met famous person, and obviously like they're with famous person where like lights are flashing or something, or like the lighting is weird to begin with, and then like no way does that picture come out. They're like, oh man, you see that weird blur? That's Shaq. Yep, I met the Shaq man, Diesel. Yeah, freaking Shaquille O'Neal. Met him. Just kidding. I never met Shaq. But I met James Harden in college. He was a nice guy. He was really nice. He attended Arizona State. I attended Arizona State. Nothing weird about it. We just went to the same college and used the same bank. Anyway, nice dude. Okay, also a true fact. As if there were an alternative form of fact. Yeah, facts must be true. You don't have alternative facts. What the crap? You know what's funny is when I wrote this, I wasn't even thinking about Kellyanne Conway. I was like, facts are facts. I forgot that post-truth was even a thing that we used to have to deal with. The idea that like, well, there's truth, and then there's what I believe. And it's like, wait, what? Oh, so, yeah. So, but this is true. I got pulled over by the police while walking home from a church dance. I had been at a church dance, and I had a mohawk, and I was in Arizona, and so they're like, the cop car pulled up. I'm walking home. I'm not in a vehicle, and so I'm not swerving or anything. Like, I'm not under any sort of influences in this story right now. I plead the fifth, but regardless, I'm enjoying my weekend. Thank you very much right now. So yeah, I've been at a church dancing with nice church girls with my mohawk. And they were kind of excited about the fact that, like, there's a guy with a mohawk here. Anyway, but, like, we danced. I had a dance. And then the place where I live wasn't that far away. And even though I came with somebody else, like, I don't know if he was taking a girl home or something. But, I was just like, I'll walk. It's fine. It's all good. For whatever reason, I walked home. And I'm walking and these flashing lights behind me. And I'm like, oh, ho, ho, someone getting pulled over. And then over the loudspeaker, they're like, hey, you with the mohawk, stop walking. And I'm like, what? Me? On my way home from church dance? Like, yeah, I was a strange person. I am a strange person, but I was, like, you would have been like, does this guy know what he is? And honestly, at the time, no, not a freaking clue. Anyway, I was trying to scare you and build suspense. So remember that. Be terrified and have suspense be built. Terrification, suspenseful building. But first, oh yeah, that's right. The cool spooky version of the theme song. Yeah, let's hear that. It's spooky now.
This has always been the theme song. This has always been the theme. This has always been the theme song. This has always been the theme.
Man, I kept hoping that the light flicking would sync with the song there, but isn't that creepy? Doesn't that sound completely different from how it sounded last time I played that song? Totally different. Anyway, now that the theme song is over, I have to be honest. Like, I got to. I'm honest with you. You are my audience. If we don't have honesty, what do we have? I don't know if I can adequately prepare you for the genuine terror you are about to experience here. So, I'm just gonna try and get you as close to prepared as I can over the next few slides, but I make no promises, expressed or implied, about how scared you're about to be with where this show goes. Because this is the lucky number 13. So I've like got an old creaky old pipe organ and pulled out all the stops. I'm about to play some toccata and fugue in D minor. You know the one that's like ba-da-da, ba-da-da-da-da-da. And you know what's funny? People always assume that's the fugue because fugue sounds terrifying. That's the toccata part. The fugue part is the da 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 da. Anyway, this I sang it poorly just then, but it's also hard to sing organ music in fugue form because you have anyway. I'm not going to explain to you what a fugue is because although I do know, I don't know if I can adequately explain it right now because I don't have a slide prepared in which I discuss what a fugue is. Anyway, oh my God. This show, there is no hope for it. We're doomed. Doomed! And that, perhaps more than anything, should scare you the most. The fact that I know what's coming and I'm like, oh, we are not going to make it. Yeah, I just grabbed a cat, put her on a chair. She seems happy. We'll see how long it lasts. Okay. There'll be chills. There'll be thrills. There are no refills. There are no refills. I see you over there with your already have a straw through the top of the cup. That means that's a refill. There are no refills. I am sorry, that is policy. This is hard times. You're going to have to pay for a whole new drink if you're getting a refill. Sir, I'm looking at you. No, you. I know that you hear me and can acknowledge that I'm talking about you. Ignore me all you want. I am making you pay for that drink. Anyway. But back to what I was saying before. Oh, this is going to be a really, really scary, or should I say, this is going to be really, really scary. So don't freak out as I present, in addition to what the host will no doubt assume is entirely too many slides in this build-up. That is true. Is factually accurate. Like, what are you building to? It better be freaking amazing because you've wasted a lot of my time. Is what we, the writers in the writer's room, are calling pretty dang funny. That you're supposed to be building terror, stupid. What are you even doing? It's our first bit. Bit number 1. Okay, changing themes. I am kind of upset with the writer's room right now. Braxton, looking at you, buddy. You know, like, to the uninitiated, even though this is lucky number 13, our scary, spooky episode. Let me just explain. I am in a room full, like, packed to the brim with white people. Like, for reals. Braxton, he's our head writer. He basically, puts all the words in my mouth, and so very often they are subpar, Braxton. I said it, I meant it. You had that one good show, and I was like, haha, look at you, Braxton, we're friends. And then you have rested on your laurels, to reference something. For a minute I was like A.E. Housman, and then I was like, early though the laurel grows, it withers faster than the rose. That's not resting on laurels, come on. It's probably a Julius Caesar reference, but I'm too lazy to look it up. Anyway, regardless, Braxton, if you were a good writer, you would have anticipated that I would be talking about resting on laurels, and you wouldn't have done it. That's what I'm talking about. Anyway, that's Braxton. Ian's over there being weird. Got Clarissa over here not paying the frick attention to how loud she's talking. And she's sipping white wine. She's always got a Chardonnay going, which, like, holy frick, be more of a cliche. Anyway, yeah, she's hanging around with Kaysen. His friend Aiden is there. Oh my goodness, Kaysen and Aiden, who are not the same person, by the way. I know there are people named Caden, but not in this room. Never has been. Never have been. Haven't had any Cadens, like, for the love of God. Derek's over here. Do you remember Derek? I haven't talked about Derek in forever. Derek, you thought I forgot you, didn't you, buddy? Anyway, did I mention Chaz? I probably did. He's such a tool. Anyway, executive produces the show. I can't tell what you do, Chaz. Like, since you've been here, the quality of the show has not improved. And you're right. Maybe this is something that I should save for an after show meeting. But you know what? I'm saying it on air, because then people will remind me that I need to talk to you about it, because what are you doing, my friend? Anyway, okay, let's get into this first bit. We're almost half an hour into the show. Why not start the comedy now? Good call, Braxton. Half an hour into the show. Start the comedy. Anyway, bit number 1. An abnormally short yet completely factual list of words in the English language which, despite their appearance, are technically perfectly fine to use. Heavy emphasis on the technically, because their etymology has nothing to do with the word we all knows it sounds like. Oh my God. I was doing so well. I was like, man, I actually wrote something coherent in this state of brain. And then I'm like, nope. Anyway, their etymology has nothing to do with the word we all know it sounds like. Oh, shit. More English major navel gazing? This ought to be fun. Said sarcastically, if you can manage, host man. Yeah, I can freaking manage. Hey, I have a name, and it's Rem Pemberton of the Clemson Pembertons. My fans know and love me, is what the host is going to say about us calling him host man, and in lowercase to boot on the previous slide. You know what? Like, I was a little like, okay, let's go to the previous slide. The part about if you can manage, I'm more than managed. I come here, I bring comedy gold. Like, y'all don't know how hard it is to spin this straw that Braxton keeps kicking out into gold. I mean, I'm using literary illusions like the one that I just made to Rumpelstiltskin. Like, I'm making Rumpelstiltskin references up here. Did Braxton write Rumpelstiltskin references in here? No, he did not. So was my response like, do you know who I am? I'm Rem Pemberton of the Clemson Pembertons. I mean, come on. I am Rem Pemberton of the Clemson Pembertons. And my fans do know who I am. Like, I do have a fan base. It's true. Yeah. I call them REM sleepers. No, it's just, like REM sleep, your REM cycle. No, I don't call my fans REM sleepers because I put them to sleep. It's just, you know, Lizzo has her lesbians. Taylor Swift has her Tom Swifties. You know, Tom Cruise has his cruise ship full of people who ought to run away. Come on, every famous person has their, like, what they call the fans. And I'm Rem Pemberton. I have fans. Don't act like I don't have fans. Look, you haven't seen my fan mail. You have not. I will take you to my dressing room after we are done here. I will show you the fan mail. And then you're going to apologize to me. Anyway, yeah, good call. Let's air this dirty laundry on this show. Come on, we're already running late. Look, I don't give a crap that you called me host man, but like we have jobs to do, people. Let's do it. By including the previous slide, we are showing that we do in fact know who you are, dear host. Where, oh where would we go without a dancing monkey to perform our mighty works? No, sarcasm hasn't been invented yet. I was just going to ask, because I'm like, if you're being sarcastic about like, oh, where would we be without a dancing monkey to perform the works? Like, if you were being sarcastic just then, I would have been pissed. But sarcasm apparently hasn't been invented yet. I'm thinking of synecdoche. Wait, what's that one where, like, a part of something stands in as an indication of the whole? Oh, that's metonymy? So synecdoche is the one where you're like, me. That's like, no, that's not like what you say. Is just the general tone. Nobody goes around saying, hey, me. Like, that's not a thing that people say. I'm just saying, like, that's the tone of what they're saying. Anyway, synecdoche. That's a hard term to remember. It's hard to spell, too. It looks like synecdoche. Anyway, but hey, you got the master's degree in English, and so, someone has a master's degree in English, so you know better than I do. We won't have sarcasm for another 20 years yet. Probably not. I can't see how are we going to invent sarcasm. Who's going to do it? There's a lot of heavy lifting there. Anyway, hey, were we doing a bit? Who knows at this point? Like, oh, yes, we were doing a bit about words in the English language, which are technically perfectly fine to use. Technically. Emphasis on the technically. Let's list the first word, shall we? I am not going to say it. I refuse. I know I was there when these slides were made. In that I am the one who made them. But like, no. Pass. Sorry. Not, as you might know, I am a white type person, like the type of person that I am. Qualities that you would list about me, a kind of a ridiculous person, a rotund gentleman, mad white has got to be in the top 5, like super duper white. But yeah, so there's no way. That is okay. That can't possibly be the real word. So just give me that real word. Like, come on, real word me now. You're gonna tell me that's the real word? Okay, I'm still not gonna say it. I am not gonna say it. You watch. We're going to do a whole segment on this. Oh, buckle up, audience. We're doing a whole segment on this, and I will not say that word not once. Seriously. No, seriously. First of all, the host didn't just say it out loud right now, did he? No, I did not. Thank you very much. Have a little faith in me. I mean, Braxton, when you're writing these, come on. Secondly, what could be scarier? I promised you chills and thrills. What could be scarier than a clearly white man wanting to talk about a word which, if said lazily, is precisely the word you don't want to be caught saying if you want to hold public office in a northern state. Also, the word sounds like it's the kind of word you don't want to be using if you're a good person. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, if you're a good person, maybe that's not part of your vocabulary, or if it's part of your vocabulary, it's not part of your active vocabulary. It's not dropped in the repertoire. And I'm telling you, the host has never used the word that this word sounds like, except when, as a child, his mom's side of the family, this is me talking from the writer's perspective about me. His mother's side of the family taught him the politically incorrect name of Brazil nuts, which, yeah, in case you did not know, is toes. The N-word, toes. Yeah. That's what I was told by relatives of mine. There was around Christmas time. There was a child. There was a bowl of mixed nuts. And I could recognize the walnut and the pecan and the almond and the peanut. And then there was this weird dark colored nut that I had never seen before. And I said, "Hey, relative of mine, person to whom I am related, person whom I share blood relation with, what is this nut called?" And they, without flinching and without thinking that it might not be a good thing to tell a child, said, "These are called N-word toes." And that's what I thought they were called for a long time. It's true. That is a factually correct thing. And I honestly, it was when I put two and two together that was not an appropriate name for a nut. I was in a Winco as an adult, and there was a whole bin of nuts, and they had them unsorted. They were not assorted. They were very much sorted into individual nut types. And the bin said Brazil nuts. And I was like, oh, that makes sense. That right there, that makes a lot of sense. And that was my first thought, is like, Brazil nuts, got it. That, of course there's an actual name. This is my first thought. And then my second thought was like, damn, that's a racist ass thing to tell a kid. Like, what? A child comes to you in all innocence of heart and is like, because, like, I swear to God, there's no racism in me at all, you know? Well, that's not entirely true. Like, let's be honest. Everybody has a little bit of racism in them, in that your brain will sometimes think things, and then you'll stop yourself and you'll be like, damn, that's racist. And then you don't say it out loud, and then you never say what it is, and you only ever bring it up to say, like, okay, but that's a little racist because it comes from somewhere, these thoughts. You know, it's the brain in my head that is coming up with these thoughts. So, like, is coming from somewhere. I don't act upon it. I don't say it, but like there's an undercurrent. There's like, you know, some yeah, some storm water breaking through the storm windows there. You know, we thought it was all sealed up, but that's yeah. Anyway, but yeah, I've never had like racist intent against anyone. And I think that's a more important distinction, is that I've never looked at anyone and have been like, "Oh, you are less than because of your race." You know what I'm saying? And so like that, I mean, that's obviously there are other forms of racism than that, but I mean, that's the big one that we think about. And I have not engaged in that, and therefore like, yay, can I pat myself on the back? But I'm trying to unindict myself, because like when it comes out that like from childhood until like 20s, early 20s, but like 20s, I was like, yep, this is the correct name of these nuts. But on the plus side, to my freaking credit, I like rarely ever thought about them or like talked about them with anyone. It's not like I'd be, you know, like, how was the last time you talked about Brazil nuts? You know what I'm saying? Like, you haven't talked about them recently. You have definitely not talked about them this calendar year, unless, of course, you have a similar story to mine, in which case you're like, isn't that racist? Hopefully you're like, isn't that racist? Anyway, regardless, moving on. Oh, man. I almost said it because it was the first word on the slide. These writers trying to catch me. Braxton, I'm onto you, dude. If I go down, I'm taking you with me. Anyway, like, and I can understand people be like, "Oh, he almost said it. He wants to say it." Okay, let's learn about this word. This one that's not the N word, but looks a lot like it, and looks like it probably sounds like it, because it kind of does. Like, anyway, the suffix suggests French origin, card, but the root word is possibly from earlier nig, stingy, which that would be an E sound, I think, in Scandinavian, like Stieg, steel, chainsaws and whatnot. Anyway, I think it's a E sounding. I hope so, because I'm not going to pronounce it the other way. Which means stingy, because that's what that means, is a person who is stingy. Anyway, which is perhaps from a Scandinavian source related to Old Norse hnigu. Oh, I'm not going to try to pronounce that more, because it's starting to related to. Nope. No, that I can see how if I try to say that one, it might start to sound like we've got to steer clear of a lot of these terms. This was the opposite of what I was trying to show. But no, seriously, like the ard part, the latter half of the word, comes from French, and then the first half of the word comes from Scandinavian or German, possibly. So this type of a person, I didn't say it, thank you very much, promise that I wouldn't, is a stingy person, someone who doesn't share with others. The suffix is most likely French. You think about words that we get from French, like dullard, drunkard, coward, bastard, etc. Those are all suffixes, the ARD suffix. So they're all French in origin, and they all describe people with a serious character defect. A dullard is a dull person. A drunkard is a person who's constantly drunk. A coward is someone who constantly cowers and hides when they should be brave. Anyway, I don't know where the bast from bastard comes from. That one I threw on the list because I thought of it. But the other dullard, drunkard, coward, those, yeah. Anyway, so yeah, if the nig portion of the word is Germanic or Scandinavian origin, which it likely is, then the French ard portion of the word was added to form a portmanteau, turning the nig, which cannot be Latin in origin, because the Latin word that I won't say refers to darkness of color, black. That's in a lot of romantic languages, that is the name for the color black. Like, that just is what you say for black. We say black, they say something that looks like the N-word. It's one G short of the N-word is what they use for black in most Latin, most Latin languages. And so, like, obviously it's not a very hard one to figure out that, like, oh, okay, so if you take the word for black and then use it as a pejorative, then, you get this horrible racial epithet that is a comment on someone's skin color, yeah. So, but yeah, this nig of this word, or nig, it can't be Latin because the Latin one means dark or black, and the other one refers to stinginess, which is an entirely different type of darkness and hardly the darkest character flaw if taken as a darkness in a metaphorical sense of the word. And I didn't say it. Wait, did the writer really just go from a proper double parenthetical, like right here? See, look, first parenthesis starts here, second parenthesis starts here. They both end on the, this is good punctuation. You did it, writer. Yeah. So, wait, did the writer really just go from a proper double parenthetical into a prompt reminder to tell the host not to say the word? You did remind me. I remembered myself, but you did remind me. Thank you. Anyway, this writer is firing on all cylinders and including nice things about himself in the copy, knowing that the host can't not read them out loud. You son of the gun. Swear, like, you figured I did read it. Like, there you go, Braxton. I read nice things about you that you wrote. Does that feel good? Oh, it does? Wow. Your life just made me sad, Braxton. I looked at your life and it made me sad. Now you think about that. Think about what that means. Okay, moving onward. A message from the English major. Punctuation matters, bitches. It helps to deliver complex yet precise information. Oh, I'm talking about, like, how I punctuated this business right here. Yeah, I punctuated it. And then I punctuated this business, putting commas and periods in the right places. And exclamation marks. Yep, that's true. Okay, before we lose the host too much, here's why you probably shouldn't use this word that I have still not said thank you very much. There's still time. I am not out of the woods yet, as far as I know, but I'm pretty sure that I have not said it yet. Only I even came close once, and they were throwing me. It was the first word on the slide. Anyway, here's why you probably shouldn't say the word. Nah, you thought I was going to say it. I didn't say it. Anyway, don't say this word, because people, especially those who might not have a full picture of the etymology, might get their feelings hurt. And when I say people who might not have a full picture of the etymology, I'm not saying that, like, oh, black people are going to get their feelings hurt because they don't understand etymology. No. I'm just saying that, like, most people don't know the etymology. But who is most likely to get offended by it? Probably black people. But it's, well, the way I wrote this makes it seem like it's because they don't understand the etymology. No, I think it's more complicated than that. I think that, like, you know, that when you have a word that has been made so hurtful and such a symbol of oppression for such a long time, that something that is a sound alike even can have the same power. And that just says so much about how, we gotta be careful with our words, people. This is comedy right here. What's happening? You are watching. This is white guilt in action. White guilt happening right before your eyes. Man does not say a word that's actually grammatically correct and is not the N word and does not share a root with the N word. Thank you very much. But the host still will not say this word because of what it sounds like. Anyway. Oh, second reason why you shouldn't say it, because miser, penny pincher, cheapskate, piker, and tightwad also exist, and none of them sound like racial epithets except for piker, which actually originates from pike, which were, pikers, should say, which were poor white migrants who moved to California. Think Tom Joad. And think about how good the ghost of Tom Joad is. Think about how proud of himself this writer is. He clearly wants us to think he's cool because he listens to Springsteen albums from 95 and also reads Steinbeck. It's so lame how he thinks Springsteen is cool and Steinbeck is edgy. Wow, this guy. Okay, I just went and listened to Springsteen from 95 and read a little Steinbeck, and I retract both of my former statements. This writer is actually cool. How oddly self-aware is it that the writer wrote all of these parentheticals to himself, about himself, by himself, for himself? Weird. Actually is pretty damn cool. Oh, I'm sorry. I said weird. I meant pretty damn cool. Wow. How clearly wrong I am, Braxton. Jeez. What a weirdo you are. Anyway, I bet that guy isn't sitting in a room all by himself right now. Okay, Braxton, look. You know that I am in the room with you. I mean, I am in the recording booth, so I'm in the room inside the room. Like, I get that part of it, but we're both in the studio. Jeez, this guy. Like, semantics. You get writers, and they're like, well, semantically, blah, blah, blah. Like, really? Oh, my God, this guy. Anyway, but he's so cool. It tells me to tell him, God, this guy digging for it. Like, really, like, give me compliments. Me. Never be like that. Anyway, number 3, because you don't want to seem like the kind of person who would casually drop the N-word in conversation. And I do, as a matter of fact, know a guy like that. Braxton and I both do. He is a teacher. And he has casually dropped the N-word in my presence more than once. I'll give you a for instance. Because, like, okay, I am white. He is white. Most of the teachers at the school are white. That's kind of, I don't know, not surprising, maybe. Anyway, but like, so we're sitting in the teacher's lounge. It is lunchtime. We are having lunch. It is one of the few times that we're ever in the teacher's lounge. Teacher's lounge is for like half-hour lunches and making copies, and that is it. Anyway, so we're in the teacher's lounge, wrapping up lunch. Somebody's coming up the stairs. There's like a stairwell up into the teacher's lounge, and you can't see who's in the teacher's lounge as you're coming up the stairs. You got to like get to the top step to really know who's in there. And they were looking for somebody. And so the person who's coming up the steps, who's either the principal or the vice principal, was like, "Hey, who's in the teacher's lounge?" And this colleague of mine shouts out, "No one in here but us N-words." For real, said that. Like, and I was like, "What? That? Why would you say that?" And he's like, "It's fine. It's a funny thing to say. It's a folksy down home saying." He's known for folksy down home sayings. And I was like, "Yeah, I don't want to be down on a home that's like that." Like, well, maybe I want to be down on a home. Like, I'm down on your home that was like, "Hey, it's okay to say that." Because it's not okay to say that. Like, this is super racist. It's not good. You don't say that. Anyway, and he was like, "Well, I can't be racist. I've dated a black person." And I was like, "Well, I haven't." Like, I haven't, but I live in a state that, like, you know, it would, look at what Richard Pryor said about black people in this state. He's like, what are we doing? We got them all locked up. You know, either we've locked up everyone we had, or we're bussing them in and bussing in prisoners from other states. That's like it. Anyway, that's what Richard Pryor said. And I said it in the least funny way. The crap am I doing? Comedy. Schlaggity schmaggity. Yeah. I'm very not original. Those of you who know what I was about to launch into, that is not mine. I can't take it. Anyway, but look, you don't use this word right here because you don't want to seem like the kind of person who's like, "I just drop N-words and it does, I don't even flinch." Because if you were using this word to mean miserly, cheap, skinflintish, penny-pinching, frugal, which, like, hey, how did I rattle off so many non-racist sounding synonyms? Because they exist. Anyway, like, maybe you use one of those because you don't want to sound like the kind of person who be racist. You know what I'm saying? Like, anyway, fun facts. Teachers have lost their jobs because of grammatically correct usages of this word. Politicians have had to resign because of grammatically correct usages of this word. And people from a variety of other walks of life have lost jobs, friends, and respect, and in cases have had to issue public apologies because of grammatically correct usages of this word. Like, that is some potency. And, you know, it would be one thing to say, like, "Wow, you dropped this word and you get fired and it's grammatically correct. Wow, the, you know, reverse racism, it's swung too far the other way." It's like, no. Like, if you say this word lazily, it sounds like the N-word. Like, 100%. Say it, like, don't enunciate half as much as you should. You sound so racist with this word. And so, like, yeah, you don't need it. You do not need it, because you are walking a line that you are going to get in trouble. Anyway, so, yeah. So the lesson, as always, is if you have a choice between a racist sounding word, even though it's not really racist, and a word that means basically the same thing but isn't racist sounding at all, then choose the non-racist sounding one, dummy. Like, synonyms exist for a reason. Like, I know we could go into a whole thing about connotative meaning, but like, come on, close enough. Like, we can retire one word and shift the connotative meaning as a culture to accommodate. Like, we can do it. I believe in us. Anyway, the host better not have said the word, I didn't. Thank you very much. Thank you. Hey, give me a round of applause, all you white people. You saw me not say a word that sounds like the N-word. I had like 15 different opportunities to say it. Did not say it once. I think that's worthy of a round of applause. Well, okay, you guys suck, but also maybe it's not worthy of a round of applause because, like, why would it even be a thing? Like, why would I be applauding not saying a word? Because that makes it seem like I really wanted to say it, but I had restraint. I didn't want to say it. I didn't want to say it in the first place. Come on, Braxton. Like, what is with these slides? And now, oh, thank God, sweet relief. We are done. We are done talking about the word that looks an awful. Well, it's a vowel and an extra consonant away from really, really offensive, but it's so close in the sound that it's like, yeah, just don't use it. Like, anyway, let's move on. And now, okay, you know that card game, Cards Against Huge Memories? Hey, that can be right. Crabs in the Crotch of Wedge Antilles. Like they want some Sky Strike Academy flunky. You know what? I like Wedge Antilles. You back off. Wedge can get crabs. I believe firmly in Wedge Antilles' ability to meet a floozy and get like pubic lice. I believe he is capable. Like, hey, if you don't believe the Wedge Antilles is like man enough to go into any cantina and find some like Twi'lek, or are you one of those people who says Twi'lek? Some people say Twi'lek. I say Twi'lek. Anyway, you're going to find yourself some floozy of a Twi'lek dancer. You're going to give her like, I don't know, couple of credits. Anyway, and then she's going to give you like pubic lice. And then you're going to be like, hey, you don't have to leave. Let's play a friendly game of Pazak. Like, let's not even wager on it. And she'll be like, that's really sad. I've got to go. And you're like, oh my God, what have I become? I'm a worthless shell of a man paying for one thing, but what I really want is affection. What I really want is someone to really care about me. You can't pay for that. You can't pay for that, Wedge Antilles. You know what, Wedge? I hope you don't get crabs. Yeah, that's right. I hope you don't meet some Twi'lek floozy in any random cantina. Because you know what? It's about time you stopped looking for floozies and started looking for Mrs. Right. That's right. And you aren't going to find her in some backwater Tatooine cantina. Come on, Wedge. You're not doing any good back there. All right. Kurds amongst blank. No, that's racist. Wait a minute. Oh, I wrote it like the card where there's always a blank. I'm not saying that it's racist for Kurds to be amongst anyone. Also, in fairness, all of the cards in Cards Against Humanity are like, hey, it's a bucket full of chunky style diarrhea. So you draw that card, and it's like Kurds amongst chunky style diarrhea. Maybe that is kind of racist. Why you gotta put them in there? All right. Braxton, I will allow it, but you're on thin ice. Anyway, moving on. You know that card game I'm talking about, though. Okay, here's what I'm going to do for you, Crop Top Johnny. See, look, I remember to do the voice. You know what, Braxton? I don't think I'm getting enough credit for how hard I'm killing these very mediocre slides you've written. Anyway, wait, is Johnny wearing a crop top? Isn't that a woman's garment? Okay, yes, that is a little sexist of me to assume that it's strictly a woman's garment in 2021. But I'm just going to be honest, I haven't seen many crop tops on men. Maybe that's less sexist of me because everyone who wears a crop top identifies as a woman. But wait, maybe that's reverse sexist on me because I'm neglecting the very real yet often underrepresented pervy cisgendered men who enjoy wearing crop tops for fetish type reasons. That's a group that's real and exists. Like, don't act like there aren't guys who are like, I'm just a regular cisgender dude, but you know what I enjoy? Putting on crop tops and cropping my top. You know what I'm saying? Get that top cropped. Oh, that sounds painful. I don't want to get my top cropped. I get my top like handled gently like a Fabergé egg. I'm not gonna get cropped. Don't go cropping my top. Jeez. I need women in opera gloves to handle it as if it were their firstborn. Anyway, so perhaps that's a bit graphic, but that's where the show has gone. Anyway, regardless, the fact that I could recognize that means that nobody probably had a problem with it in the first place, that I should have just moved on. Yeah, it's probably true. Probably nobody was like, isn't that a woman's garment? Nobody would have been like, boo, that's offensive. You don't tell people what a garment is. It's like, okay, we kind of agree that a crop top is a more feminine type garment. And if you identify as feminine, then you can wear it. Or even if you identify as masculine, you can wear it. And it can be, I don't know, it's your own business, I guess. Oh, anyway. But the fact that I can recognize this means nobody had a problem with it in the first place, and I should have just moved on rather than engaging in a Fox News style hasty generalization based in gender. Yeah, that's true. They'd be like, well, all do, you know? And I'm like, everyone who wears a crop top identifies as a woman. And it's like, not necessarily. Not necessarily. Because there are non-binary people, and there are cisgendered men who might want to wear a crop top. There are gay men who might want to wear a crop top. Whose pronouns are he, him, not even a they in there. And they just be like, I feel like wearing a crop top. Deal with it. And more power to him. It's 2021. You do you. You do you. Maybe somebody else will also do you. And if that person is of the same gender as you, that's none of my business. And if they're not of the same gender, it's none of my business. And if there's 4 of them, it is none of my business. And if there's 4 of them and a goat, then it is kind of my business because that's illegal. But I still am like, well, it's their goat. Like, if it were my goat, I would be over there banging on the door like, hey, y'all got my goat over there? Is that my goat? Bessie, you get home. You get home, Bessie. Girl, you are asking for it. I'm gonna switch your little hide when we get home. I tell you what. You don't sass me. You certainly don't sass me in what I can only assume was about to be your weird orgy friends. I don't even want to know, Bessie. I don't even want to know. I mean, one of them's dressed up like a gimp. I mean, I guess I understand what that's about, but why is the other one wearing a Richard Nixon mask? And why is the other one only naked from the waist down? And why is the other one dressed like a fox? I don't know what that's about. Anyway, Bessie, you go on You get home, we're going to talk about this. And you gentlemen, I'm going to warn you, you stay out of my barn. It's my property. I don't care what y'all get up into on your property, but my property's my property. You hear me? Okay. Well, y'all have a good night. Anyway, end scene. I did a scene. Thank you. Hey, here's what I'm going to do for you, Crop Top Johnny. I forgot that was the character that I made up. Hey, you're Crop Top Johnny. You're Johnny, and I, an old-fashioned mobster type guy. I'm like, yeah, it's 2021. He's a man. He's got a crop top. Who gives a crap? I don't care if he's got a goat in there, as long as it's not my goat. Anyway, I'm going to write new black cards for Crabs Against Your Pee-Pee, and then I will actually pull white cards at random from my genuine Gates McFadden against Will Wheaton set. And then I'll judge which one's funnier. This one does, it works as in that's funny, Gates McFadden against Will Wheaton, but it doesn't sound at all like Crabs Against Huge Manatees. Anyway. Yep, this ought to kill some time, but what if we're running over? We are running over. Fantastic. How many of these are there? 7. Card number 1. Men are from Mars. Women are from Venus. But my ex is from blank. And I've got 2 cards here. I'm looking at their backsides. A slowly encroaching circle of wolves. Or one of those blowjobs I've been hearing so much about. Okay, first of all, this is the card I drew. Like, I didn't write it. This is the one that I got out of the box. Anyway, men are from Mars, women are from Venus, but my ex is from a slowly encroaching circle of wolves. Yeah, see, a blowjob would be, like, a circle of wolves is at least negative. So, I'm gonna have to go with that one. Yeah. Yep. Well, that was funny. Card number 2. Candy is dandy, but blank is quicker. Let's find out. Period poops and feminism. Okay. First of all, I'm not one of those guys who's like, oh, I don't talk about periods. Like, I don't have a problem with it. If somebody wants to talk to me about it, like, it's a bodily function. Like, approach it like you would all other bodily functions. Like, if it gets too graphic, like, just ease up on the throttle a little bit. Like, if I'm talking to you about my dookie poopies, which I will on occasion if you're, like, I don't know, married to me or something, because you got to tell your significant other, like, oh, it is dripping like a water faucet and I can't turn it off. I need you to get me something, like, get me some medications and whatnots. Or be like, I'm like a salad shooter right now, and I would rather be much more like a corked bottle. So if you know of a medicine that does that turns my butthole into a corked bottle. Anyway, yeah, but like, periods is a bodily function. So are poops. So if you're going to be talking to me about them and it's not on the level of, like, I need to go buy you some supplies for your bodily problems. You know, some medications, some lubes and salves and balms and lotions and ointments. Anyway, none of which are appropriate for periods or poops. Like what? Yes, try this poop liniment. It makes it sound like a liniment made out of poop. Anyway, yeah, candy is dandy, but feminism is quicker. I wish feminism were quicker. Somehow, like, people conflate feminism with, like, hating men and all kinds of, it's like, people are really dumb. Like, somehow these really stupid ideas from the first wave of feminism, when the first wave of feminism came out and women were like, hey, how about I get a job and maybe, like, you know, start making a choice or two in my own life. And husbands were like, oh, this is bullcrap. You know, these uppity dames, oh my God. And then there was this whole thing about, like, oh, feminism teaches women to hate men. And people still believe that. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. I wish feminism were quicker. I'm gonna go with feminism, but, like, that's because period poops. I don't know. I've never had a period and I've never had period poops. Are they quicker? I don't know. Maybe quicker is better. I have no idea. You have to tell me. I'll listen. I'm not one of those guys who's going to be weird about it. But, like, anyway, regardless. Card number 3. Clans against their enemy's backside. Right now, our host isn't doing his job. He's busy thinking about blank. Oh, I am doing my job. You see me doing my job? I'm doing it. It's getting done. It's getting done by me. I'm the doer of it. Right now, our host isn't doing his job. He's busy thinking about the American dream, or he's busy thinking about the unstoppable tide of Islam. Oh, man. I swear to God, these are the ones that I drew. And even when I drew them, I was like, oh, that's a tough draw. The American dream doesn't exist. It legitimately does not. Like, if it's something that is only attainable by, like, 0.001% of the population, then it's not real. Because that 0.001% of the population is statistical noise. You know, they are an outlying tiny little speck of data that we ignore when we draw the trend curve, you know. Anyway, the unstoppable tide of Islam. I'm not terrified of Islam. You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, this is me. These are jokes, by the way, and this is me, like, making unfunny out of them. I'm not terrified of Islam. Like, I worked with a Muslim kid back in the day when I was in the library. It's funny because one of my coworkers was like, hey, do you think it's possible that he might be radicalized and they might, like, call up his sleeper cell at any time? And I'm like, yeah, I don't think so. I don't think so. You know why? Because this kid, like, all he wanted out of life, he wanted 2 things. He wanted an awesome fast car. Like, he wanted an awesome fast luxury type car. And he wanted a hot girlfriend. Those 2 things, and maybe not even in that specific order, but he wanted those 2 things more than anything. And he was always hitting on hot girls, and he was always looking at pictures of cars. And it's like, yeah, I don't think, like, if Al-Qaeda was hanging their hopes on him, they are lost. Because this fool, they'll call his sleeper cell number, and he'll be like, I got a date, so, like, no, I can't wear a vest. But I guarantee he was not radicalized because he's a very nice dude, and he was, like, a normal dude. That's the whole point of the story. He was a normal guy. And that's what I have, like, I've known a few Muslims in my day. The vast majority of them are like, hi, I'm a normal friggin' person. And then you'd be like, oh, hello, normal friggin' person. I've been told to be fearful of you. And then they're like, well, I actually kind of go out of my way to be like not terrible because I realize that I have to overcome the burden of that in every freaking new encounter that I have. But hey, at least on the plus side, you think I'm nice. So we're gonna take the unstoppable tide of Islam. Now that I've beaten all the funny out of these cards, there wasn't that much funny to start with. There's none left now. Anyway, number 4. Why, back in my day, we didn't have fancy sex dolls with realistic faces. We had blank, and we were happy to have it. What? Braxton, what is this? Braxton, I have a certain reputation, you know. All right, we'll do it if you say so. Okay. Why, back in my day, we didn't have fancy sex dolls with realistic faces. We had all the people I've killed, and we were happy to have it. Why, back in my day, we didn't have fancy sex dolls with realistic faces. We had a bitch slap, and we were happy to have it. I have to go with a bitch slap, because it's the only one that makes sense. Like, oh wait, but what if you're necrophilia? I forgot about necrophilia. Oh, game changer necrophilia. If I had a nickel for all the times in my life that I've said, you know what, necrophilia, that's a game changer. Hey, get the t-shirt press printing. Yeah. No, Chaz, I'm assuming that you would contact whoever's in charge of promotions. Wait, Ian is in charge of promotions? I just thought you were like somebody's nephew. Oh, you are somebody's nephew? Okay, well, yeah. Let's get those necrophilia it's a game changer t-shirts. Think the kids are going to be wearing those. Think it's going to be a hot item of the summer. People are going to be buying those like a supreme crowbar. All right. Card number 5. Today, the Trump Organization was indicted on charges of blank and blank. Oh, getting topical, because today the Trump Organization was indicted, as was Alan Weisselberg, and it's either it's a continued part of a witch hunt against my father, who worked hard for every cent that he had, and who cares if he put Alan Weisselberg's kids through private school and paid for their tuition, and then took that tuition out of Weisselberg's salary cost and then used that to affect how much I was paying in taxes, because it's an under the table payment to Weisselberg, who would have used that money to send his kids to private school anyway. Anyway, yeah, it's very topical. Very topical. That was a spot on DT Junior. DT. Nah, DT is that new rapper. You know the one. He's like, he's kind of like a robot. He says A as that rapper DT. Anyway, moving on. Trump Organization indicted on charges of blank and blank. 2 cards per. Today, the Trump Organization was indicted on charges of a stray pube and tiny rancid girl farts. Or today, the Trump Organization was indicted on charges of soft, kissy missionary sex and mouth herpes. Okay. So we're either getting herpes from kissies or stray pubes and tiny rancid girl farts. I don't know. I don't know if I see Trump as a tiny fart guy. I see him as like Welcome to the Thunderdome. I see him as Apocalypse Now kind of a fart man. I see him as like a room clearing, like window pane rattling, like beef smelling, like friggin' air curdling kind of a fart man. And so I don't think there's a chance that he has tiny farts. I think that they are both the most foul, nose hair curling, like freaking visible as those like ripple waves that they use to show that mirages are happening in movies and TV shows. You know, those heat ripples that they always show when they're like, ooh, it's a mirage. Yeah, that's what comes out of Trump's ass. Anyway, and so I don't think that's like a tiny rancid girl fart. Sorry. I think that's an apt thing. So I think, but then again, like I guarantee he's not, like, this is a man who once paid a woman to beat him on the ass with a rolled up newspaper or rolled up magazine with his face on the cover. So I don't think he's having soft, kissy missionary sex, because kissy would imply that like the person that they love him. And mouth herpes I could see him with, like any kind of herpes, as a matter of fact. Like he seems like a herpes. Like I've seen herpes who have made speeches less offensive than whatever he said at his last rally. So yeah, I don't know about that one, huh? You know what? I think because it still says the farts are rancid, we'll give him the occasional like wafting wave of death that just like creeps up on you, taps you on the shoulder, and punches you in the face. Anyway, yeah, so we're going to go with the straight pube and tiny rancid girl farts. Slight victory right there. Difficult round, if I'm being honest. Difficult round. Okay, let's move on. Let's do card number 6. Here we go. Oh my God. Braxton. That was so loud we could hear it in the recording booth. Go outside when you've got those. Anyway. Okay. Card number 6. Come on, man. Did you have to get political? This was supposed to be a comedy show, not blank. Okay, let's find out. I don't remember these at all. Come on, man. Did you have to get all political? This was supposed to be a comedy show, not a cheerfulness that belies a deep-seated self-loathing. Or, come on, man. Did you have to get all political? This was supposed to be a comedy show, not the magic of live theater. Oh, look at this duo. The one is like also a part of the other. A cheerfulness that belies a deep-seated self-loathing is often accompanied by the magic of live theater. Like, please love me, audience. I hate myself inside. That's the true magic of live theater. Anyway, this is supposed to be a comedy show. I think I'm going to go with a cheerfulness that belies the deep-seated self-loathing. This just feels right. Anyway, card number 7. This is the last one as far as I know. Well, I wouldn't have gotten political if old number 45 hadn't turned the last 4 years into a blank show. Okay. Well, I wouldn't have gotten all political if old number 45 hadn't turned the last 4 years into a fiery poop show. Or, well, I wouldn't have gotten political if old number 45 hadn't turned the last 4 years into a holding down a child and farting all over him show. You know what? I'm going number 2. because a child is innocent, a child did not deserve this, and a child did not ask for this. And neither did America. The vast majority of Americans said, no, give us the lady that we don't like. You know the one we're not excited about. Anyway. And that's it. That's all the funny I've got for this week. Insert obligatories after this slide. I think that's like the ads and stuff. Hey, I've got one. Frogs against Gethsemane. Wait a minute, mister. Hold on. Gethsemane, the Garden of Gethsemane, comma, the Garden of. Yes, you've waltzed into an index, and I'm about to index you upside the head. Pack such a wallop of information, your head will have a slight indent where the index hit it. Okay. You're telling me frogs against Gethsemane? Gethsemane, to Catholics, is the first station of the cross. Gethsemane is the Garden of Agony, the place where our Lord and Savior, and when we're talking about God, you know who we're talking about. We talk about Emmylou Harris. Anyway, but Gethsemane is where the G-man, the Jizo, the Jesus, done writhed in agony for a while his apostles were like, I'm gonna catch some quick Z's. So, hey frogs, guess what? This is America, and Christians are in the majority, and yet they take every opportunity to act like an oppressed minority. And this is one instance where they are going to act like an oppressed minority because frogs against Gethsemane, the place where Jesus had blood sweat. Well, he probably had tears too. No, he did not write the great jazz fusion hit Spinning Wheel. Nor did he write Lucretia McEvil, which is also a really good song. Anyway, regardless, you should be ashamed of yourself with your frogs against Gethsemane. Christians have a right to be outraged because being outraged is like one of the number one things. People be like, hey, I'm thinking about being a Christian. Oh, really? Did you get the water thing done? Either you got to go all the way, or some guy hits you with some of it with like a little magic wand of water. Either way, you got to get you some of that. And then you be like, yeah, I'm a get me some of that. And then they'd be like, hey, are you offended by anything right now? Because now that you got the water put on you, you're officially one of us, and that means that you could be offended by things and act like you being offended means that the other person has to stop because they are wrong, because you are offended. So welcome to Christtown. We just got you baptized, my friend. Welcome to being offended. Anyway, wait, Braxton isn't here. Maybe I'll write down my idea on these slides he has open, and he'll see it. And then maybe we won't have two different reasons for people to say this week's show was racist. Wait a minute. Two different reasons. Okay, there was the N-word that I didn't say. Oh, I think I know what he's talking about. Clans against their enemies. Did I ever get the one that says, like, hey, I recognize that that's... Nope. I actually wrote out some cards that were like, hey, I recognize that that makes it sound like clans against their enemies. It makes you think of that terrible clan that nobody wants to be associated with if they're a good person. And if you're a terrible person, then you're like, yeah, that clan is mine. The one that doesn't spell so good. Historically over hundreds of years, but that's not their main crime, even though the English major, that's the one he thinks of first. Like, they can't spell the word clan. Anyway, regardless. And also, what's a coup and a klux? Anyway, but yeah, this is a person writing some words on a slide. Let's find out where this goes. There might be a comedic payoff at the end. Like as not, there's probably not. But you know what's going to be at the end? Guaranteed. The end of this show. So if you want to make it there, you just follow me to the end of the show. We're going there. We'll make it someday. Anyway, okay. We probably shouldn't have done that first bit at all. Oh, the one about the one that sounds like the N-word. People don't really know that word, and it might have become archaic if people like us didn't keep bringing it up. That's true. Like if we just, because not very many people know the word, and words stay relevant only as they are used. If a word isn't being used, then it becomes archaic, you know? And yeah, we perhaps could have let it become archaic, but too many people want to point out, like, did you know it doesn't have the same etymology? And it's like, yeah, you're just probably looking for sound alikes at this point, is what you're doing. Anyway. I probably shouldn't write my actual thoughts on slides that Braxton might see. He's the head writer, and I don't want to lose my job. No, I don't know. I don't know if you've said anything that I don't agree with, but maybe Braxton does it. Braxton, do you agree with this guy? Oh, wait. Who are you choking over there, Braxton? Okay. Well, don't kill him. Anyway, yeah, Braxton isn't here. I probably shouldn't write my actual thoughts on slides. I don't see why this is funny. Note to self, delete this slide and the three before it, before Braxton sees them. Oh, that would have been good. Hey, fella, you getting choked out? Just give me a thumbs up if you're the guy who wrote these slides. Oh, you were, huh? Anyway, maybe next time, if there is one, actually remember to delete the slides and don't let this go to air where it gets recorded and then Braxton is in the room watching it get performed and put down on tape. Yes, we still use tape. And then I mail the tape to YouTube, Videotown, USA, because that's YouTube's actual address. And then they put it up there for me. Anyway, this isn't about how I make videos. Anyway, regardless, it's your job to delete the slides. Write whatever you want. I don't give a crap what you write. Just if it goes to the copy that I'm performing, if it's not funny, and this right here is not funny. So I just maybe think of jokes and run them by Braxton first would be a better way to do it. Anyway, hopefully you don't die. You seem nice. You said hi to me in the hallway. Anyway. Poor white kid, but what are you going to do? This program was made possible by the Igneous and Gertrudina Buckcomer Foundation and by viewers like you. Promotional considerations provided by Ralph Morgan's Extra Strangly Snakes, the Lonely Ass Librarians Guild, Grandpappy True Reels Foul-Smelling Balms and Gruels, and the one and only True God. This program was directed and performed by Rem Pemberton of the Clemson Pembertons. He wrote different text this time. Actually, I did. This is different text and a different picture. But last week I wrote that I would write different text, and then I wrote all different text except for this text, which I left the same, and that's the text saying that I wrote different text, which is actually not new. It is old text, but the rest of it is new, and that is ironic. Are you taking notes, Alanis Morissette? Anyway, regardless. Written by Braxton White Guy. He's not actually gray. He uses graying creams. I would debate this with you, Braxton, if you weren't full of crap and also not paying attention because you are strangling an intern. Pretty sure that's an intern. Anyway. The theme song provided by the Out of Tuners, everybody's favorite band. Presentation of Non-Sober Badger Productions. What? I was just enjoying my weekend. Why you gotta be all judgy? Anyway, a subsidiary of the large, boring-sounding corporation with surprisingly questionable business practices. Lawful Asset Holdings Incorporated. A branch of the intentionally vague corporation whose purpose may never be known. The Blaine Group. And communism. It's not dead yet, suckers. Man, that looks good on a blackish background. Really pops. As these are the colors that communism was made for. You go, communism. Go fight, win communism. The American dream is dead, and a person on a comedy show is saying, yay, communism in America. Oh, man. Am I being serious or am I being joking? You'll never know. You don't need to know. Don't worry about it. It's for me to know and me to also find out whether or not I'm being serious because I don't know. Is it funnier if I'm serious or is it funnier if I'm not? That's my only question. Anyway, people, communism, that's the thing. Hey, I forgot a part where I'm like, hey, if you make it this far into the thing, and you have a Steam account, I will give you a free Steam key, and you will have a video game that you can play for free, courtesy of me. But you've never commented on the thing. Nobody ever comments because nobody ever makes it far in these videos because they're long and tedious, and I'm the only one who watches them this far. Haha. So I will have Steam games that I don't need for the foreseeable future. That's cool. Anyway, people, that's it for this one. We will see you in the next one. Okay, bye.